you have to do the research on the front end, even before you make that phone call. You have to confirm from a numbers perspective. You have to get a good idea of what kind of demand to expect from a numbers perspective, and also from an income perspective. And
who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today I have the pleasure of having the man, the legend, man, Tijani. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the live. How you doing, man?
Man, it's great. Appreciate you having me here. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I feel great. This is good. You know, we still feels like the year is fresh. But it's moving. Quite a bit.
Moving, man. It is already moving quick. It's March, bro. It's about to be March.
It's about to be March. And next thing you know, we'll be halfway through the year. Next thing you know, we're in the holiday season. So, so we, as it moves, we must move, right? As it moves, we must move. We must be action takers. I think execution should be the theme going into the year. Action taking, executing. Or whatever it is, even if you fail, even if you fall flat on your face, execute anyway, because that's where we grow, because that's where we actually see the difference in our personal development, right? In our growth is through that. So, man, just take action. But yeah, it's been a good year, man.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to get to that in a second because you're a practitioner. We only have practitioners coming to the lab, as I call it, right? but I got to level set, bro, because I got to give it to you. First of all, your energy. I gotta say this, it matches, and that's what I love about you, because I first connected with you virtually. I call you my virtual friend because I met you virtually, and we still haven't met in person, y'all. This is why the lab is crazy.
We're gonna fix that. We're
gonna make that happen. But first, it was about maybe a year and a half back or two now, because time has moved so quickly. That voice that you had was so calm on Clubhouse. I'm like, this dude knows what he's. No, it's one thing to know what you're talking about, but it's also one thing to be genuine and come with good energy. And I remember you used to go in there and be like, facts. And I remember you used to tell one of my homies, I'm like, yo, this guy loves a facts. You need to brand that, by the way, because I don't know if you're still doing it. Run away with it, bro, because that is the TJ, the celebrity voice. But again, you see him, he's smiling here. If you're listening, you could hear the voice. It's the same energy, and I love that, because I think that's the kind of business that we're in. But I want to give you your kudos, man, because you come from mechanical engineer background. I know this. We do our research, brother. And and you started with a concept, whether it was, you did the BRRRR strategy, single family, and then you discovered short-term rentals, and you've been able to scale it in multiple different ways, from single family to now I see you doing some multifamily stuff, which is very interesting, and the boutique hotel angle. And you got about 30 plus properties that you're doing rental arbitrage, and you own a majority of them as well. But you also talk about partnerships, which I'm really geeking out about, because I think we talked about being on the same vibes. I know we come from the same circle. We had a few people that we're in alignment with. Maybe we could talk about how we structure those, but I wanted to give you your resume, your kudos, and your flowers, brother, while you stay here, because I really appreciate your energy, and and it's contagious. I got to tell you, it's contagious. So TJ, we're so happy to have you here, bro. But man, I got to talk. So before we talk about what you've done, I want to talk about the person, man. So because I truly believe this, that we're a reflection of our businesses, right? Like that's who we are. That's why there's a unique opportunity here. So let's talk about the roots for a second. You from Nigeria, right?
Originally from Nigeria. Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. The roots. I gotta represent. I'm Congolese, but
absolutely.
I'm not Nigerian. People always ask because they can't really tell. But I usually could tell by the last name. So that's pretty cool, man. So I gotta say, man, I feel like you guys do so well when it comes to coming here, taking on opportunities. And I know that has to come from the top of, how you were raised. But what is it? What gets you out of bed, man? Like when you talk about getting to the action, getting right into it, what gets you out of bed?
Man, so man, that's a really good question. And I would say, well, for one, it's just what you asked me. Yes, Nigerian, 100%. I'm 100% Nigerian. Mom and dad are both Nigerian. I'm Yoruba, by the way, born in Nigeria.
Yes. Nice.
Moved to Houston when I was 8 years old, and we chose Houston because my mom had family here already. And so that was the only reason why we chose Houston. And it turns out Houston actually is pretty nice Nigerian population out here.
Nice.
So yeah, that's that's where I'm from originally. Yes, I sound like this, and yeah, I do sound like this normally, and this is my normal voice. And
there's no radio voice.
So and even with my somebody say I'm Americanized at this point because you can hardly tell that that I have an accent, right?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
But if I want to Tony,
you hit us with the back home. You're gonna do that. Don't let me get started today, huh? I can do it too.
This guy. You see?
I love it. You see, eh?
You see, eh? So
this one's from the culture, guys. I'm telling you.
One time for the culture.
I love
man.
it.
You already know what it is.
I love it.
But yeah, man. I mean, but you asked a really good question about what gets me up what gets me up every day, other than my why, because my why is the reason, right? And I think we all should have one. I think our why we have to really dig deep into figure out what that is, because it has to mean more in a way than what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, your why is what's going to allow you to keep pushing. But along with that, and for me, my why is my family, right? My family, my mother, like that. I'm a huge family guy, and that's my why. Legacy, that's my why, right? Then another thing is gratitude. I think gratitude is an important component in terms of motivation, in terms of reason, in terms of purpose. Because at the end of the day, if we have a heart of gratitude, it will allow us to change our perspective and even how we see the issues that we deal with, because everybody has stuff that they're dealing with, right? But if I was to hand you $1 million today, everything would change for you, right? Everything would change for anybody. I mean, you will be more excited. Anybody would be ecstatic. They'll feel full of purpose. They'll feel motivated. They'll feel like they can tackle anything, right? But if I was to say that, okay, I'll give you $1 million, but you don't wake up the next day, nobody's taking that deal, right? But we do know that our lives as individuals are worth more than $1 million. It's worth more than 5. It's worth more than 10. Our lives are worth more than $1 million. So we have to wake up acting like somebody handed us $1 million every single day, because life is worth way more than that, right? And at the end of the day. That's what it's about, gratitude. Because now, what that will do is it'll change your perspective. Instead of a mindset of, man, I'm going through this. Life is hard. The money's low. Money's funny. Family's going through this. My kids are this, and that. You get to change that narrative and say, you know what? I'm waking up. I get to handle this money issue. I get to deal with these issues. I get to tackle and become a better person through these issues. Like, that mindset shift is important, and that is motivation enough to get out of bed every single morning.
Oh, okay. So I'm deep into personal development, but I've never heard it like that. Like the way you said it. I love the whole $1 million thing, because you made it like you compared it to that. Okay, if it's the same, so come with that same energy, right? Right? Like every day you get to do these things. So I love that. You get to
do these things.
So happiness is really a choice, man.
It really is.
Right?
It really is.
Gratitude is a choice. So we can choose to be grateful every day.
100%.
Okay, I love it. See, you're already getting bars. Geez, right into it. I love that. Okay, so let's get back to, so you and I have actually a fun fact that I just want to drop out there. I had no idea. I kind of did, but I forgot about it. And you were you're a mechanical engineer. That's your background. You don't do that today anymore, but that was the start. And you're in the rigs, and I've done the oil fields.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm in IT as well. So I know the life about. I've done like it used to be 2 weeks on, 1 week off, fly in, fly out. Suncor, I did it up in Canada, with my brother, and I had that experience. I know exactly about that life, and I was still building my business at night. Crazy. But so I wanted to just give kudos to that, because I have some context about the commitment level that it took for you to get to where you wanted to be. But let's talk about that for a second, man. So now, because we're gonna fast forward in a second, but what was the seed that was planted to you? Because a lot of us, I always talk about the reason why I have this podcast. Real estate is a huge umbrella. You can go wholesaling, which I know you've done some. You can go fix and flip. You can do notes. You could do so many things. And for us, I'm curious in the short-term rental industry. I'm always curious as to see who the person was who planted the seed. If there was a person, what book it was, what aha moment, what experiment was it that led you to the discovery? Because I always think that's important, so that when they hear it from you, they don't have to go through it. Maybe you're the first person that plants that seed on the podcast on the air, and this is why I do this. So tell what was your aha moment?
It came after I graduated from college. Shortly after I graduated from college, this was 2013 when it came. So, but in college, I put myself through school. So I had to work. I was working full time while I was in college, and ended up graduating. It took me 6 years to graduate with my engineering degree, but I was hustling on top of what I was doing for work. I worked at a shoe store. I was tutoring. I was doing stuff on the side. Like I was just making it happen to get my tuition paid. And so once I graduated, one of my frat brothers, he came and he said that he's like, bro, I just read this book. And it kind of just changed my perspective on a lot of things. I think you need to read it. I watched you hustle through college. I think it'll be right up your alley. Of course, you probably guess what book that is. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So I said, okay, I never heard of this book. So I took the book, I ordered the book, and I took the book with me offshore to a rig, to one of my projects offshore. And I read the book while I was offshore. I was offshore for 3 weeks on that hitch. And I read the book twice while I was there. I couldn't, like the light bulb was so heavy. Like it wasn't even, I was like, it was so bright. And I was like, get me off this rig. I need to own some assets ASAP now. So I had to.
At the time, did you have any, or were you in the process of getting some?
No, I knew nothing about real estate.
You just getting
about real estate.
Getting that W-2.
Exactly. I was just getting a W-2. And it was just like, okay, real estate investing, and you can own assets. You can own a house. And I was like, I want to own some property. I think that's kind of boss. I was like, I want to own some. And that's really where it kind of just like, you know what? I want to own some assets because I want my money to work for me, and I want to be paid. Like, because to me, as much, because when I was graduating my engineering degree, because I put myself through school, like you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be like a VP of, ride the corporate ladder all the way up. I mean, you couldn't tell me that. But when I started my engineering career, I knew it wasn't for me. So I was already kind of thinking like, man, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life, to be honest with you. Like,
what was that? Where was that coming from? I'm curious. When people say that, when you said you knew Reddit, like, what was it? The day-to-day, what was the?
Yeah. It was really the day-to-day. It was really the day-to-day, and the requirements and the demands from, like, having, your boss, that the boss requires from you, and the time constraints, the time that required. I felt like I had no control over my time either. Yeah. So for me, I wanted, especially after I read that book, I was like, wow. And I realized how important and how much value time is, just as important or even more important than money. Yes. So it really changed my entire perspective. And I knew that, you know what, I want to do something for myself for sure.
Okay, man. Okay. And it's interesting because you from what I understand, you had a math background, right? So you understood the numbers game, right? You're a numbers guy. You could do the math pretty quickly. So it made sense to you when you read that book, and then you took action. What was that? Because the reason I'm going here is I think sometimes people think that they have to have the right experiment, which holds them back from taking action, when really, even, when I look at my trajectory, I tried wholesaling, tested it, didn't work. I didn't really like it, then fell into something else. So I'm very curious for you how the SDR, because what I always say, it's an hourglass. You got to experiment broad, then narrow, and then the crazy part, then you can broaden out again. That's the hourglass. That's all me.
I like that.
I put that out there, right?
I like that.
It's cool, right? Experiment broad, then niche down, then you can diversify. Let me do some multifamily, let me do some crypto, but you really got to identify that niche. I'm curious how you found this SDR niche. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And it's interesting because it didn't happen because I was looking for it. Honestly, wasn't even necessarily looking for it.
But you were taking action though.
I saw an opportunity. I saw that, maybe this could work, and I tried it, and I took action on it, and I executed on it, and then that was literally all she wrote. And
how'd you get permission though? Let me ask you, and I know I jump in on these because you drop so many gems, so many insightful gems that I think matter, and you might not even realize, but there's such subtle indications of how you made decisions. How did you, who gave you that permission? Did you give yourself permission, or you got insight from someone else? Like, oh, this is gold. You should need to look into SDR. I'm curious.
You know what's crazy? I had to give myself that permission to make that pivot. because I was doing a lot of other real estate deals. I was doing long-term buy, hold, investment. I was doing wholesale. I was wholesaling about 2 deals a month, right? I was doing all that on the side, right?
Yeah.
And then when I was laid off, I was like, you know what? I'm doing real estate full time. I'm betting on myself because my goal was to have 10 rental properties. I wanted 10 rentals, single family rental properties, before I was able to walk away from my engineering gig. So, and when I was laid off, I had 5. So I was only halfway there. It wasn't necessarily ready. So I was kind of pushed out, but I decided to bet on myself and go into real estate thing full time. And in doing that, I wanted to be known as, like, you know, the wholesaler, the creative finance kind of guy that was just doing those kind of deals. I got a coach that taught me creative finance. Like, I was doing all that stuff. And I came across a video about short-term rentals by AirBNB. I don't know what the heck AirBNB. I had never even stayed in an Airbnb at that time.
Curiosity.
So
I love that.
But I know of Airbnb, and he's like, okay, you can make more money. I said, well, it makes sense. They're staying shorter. They're staying kind of like a hotel. I said, you know what? Let me try this Airbnb thing. Let me just try it. And I had one house that I was remodeling at the time that I was going to make a traditional long-term. I was going to add it to my long-term rental portfolio. And I spent $14,000 to furnish this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Linens, the whole furniture, everything. Right. And then I just took a shot at it. And the next day I woke up with 2 bookings. And then I did the numbers again. You talk about
stop! You give me the goosebumps. Stop it! Okay. All right, so I love that. Yeah, okay, so hold on. Let's take a step back. So you got, man, I love the experiments because you get data, right? Like, you're collecting data. So let me ask you real quick, because you said something key that I think is important, because I think what I'm resonating with you is how to think is so critical. Like, how to think about how you get out about your day. I get to do this. Okay, great. How to think about opportunities as they come. And I think sometimes we're telling ourselves this story, because I always tell myself the same story. I'm like, there's no way you're going to have 100%, you know, occupancy. So that's not even like, that's not even a thing that I would look at until you do the math, which goes back to what you're really good at. You're like, hold on. This is like, you're arbitraging like a night, like, you know, per, like, if you do the math, and I really want to bring this home, on the 30 night stay, right? Whether you do a long-term rental, you divide it by 30 nights, do the math, because I think you might realize that when you look at what a STR can project, you'll really realize quickly that you don't even need 100% occupancy at all. No, you don't. Am I right?
No, not at all. Because guess what? That math that I did, that initial math that I did, I said, even at 50% occupancy, right? Even at 50% occupancy, and at the rate that I was charging, because understand, I wasn't even charging a market rate like at that time. I came below because I wanted bookings, right? So I'm like, you know, okay, these properties are going for like 200. I'm gonna come in like 140. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna drop it down and see that way people can get intrigued, they like it, and that'll be it. And so then I literally when I did the math, I said, man, even at 50% occupancy, and at that rate, I was still looking to double what that traditional rental net income would be, right? So that's what, when I did that math, it was literally all she wrote. It was all she, and I said, all right, I'm tapped all the way in. I'm going all the way into the short-term rental thing. And I'm strategically pivoting my portfolio from traditional long-term rentals to short-term rentals. Then I got educated. Then I learned about arbitrage. Now I learn, I don't even how to own it. Oh my, y'all out of control.
Playing. Y'all out of control.
Y'all out of control. I don't have to own it. But then, of course, that came with its own set of challenges, right? Because a lot of folks think that arbitrage, because, okay, it has a lower barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is pretty low, and I got to get the lease. But I learned quickly, the hard way, that it's not that easy. It's not these conversations that you have to have with these landlords. Like, they have to be intrigued enough. And I had a lot of bad conversations. When I started doing arbitrage, I sat in front of a lady one day I said, yeah, you have some nice condos here. They're phenomenal. You know, I would like to rent a couple. Well, we want to make this thing a short-term rental. Want to do this Airbnb thing, and I've had this lady literally, like, she said, oh, she cussed at me like in her own office and got up and walked out. She was so frustrated at my pitch. Like, I had to have so many bad, even like right now in our short-term rental program, we have a script that we use, and the script is amazing, right? It's phenomenal for talk to landlords. It literally positions you as a perfect tenant. But you can imagine how long it took me to develop this script, how many bad conversations I had to have to develop this script. So even then I learned that I can do arbitrage. I don't have to own it. I can rent these properties out. And then I started adding that into the mix. Then, because I was an investor first, and I think that's important for people are like, man, how is it that you own most of yours? Honestly, I think it helped that I was an investor first. I was an investor first. I was already doing real estate. I was already buying properties with other people's money. I was already buying real estate
Yeah.
with private money and hard money. So I said, okay, well, instead of making it a traditional rental, I'm just making it a short-term rental, right? And a lot of times, when I do the cash out refinance, I just got to fine tune my metrics just enough. I got to fine tune these numbers enough to where I'm gonna do a cash out refi. I'm still gonna be into it at no more than 75% loan of value. I'm gonna take that cash out refi and I'm gonna furnish it. And I still have 25 or 30% equity on the property. My mortgage payments as low as possible. I cash it out and I'm gonna use that money to furnish it. And now I have a short-term rental property that I own with little to no money out of my pocket. And even the money that is out of my pocket, I pulled it out.
Okay, TJ, man, God, the mathematician. Jeez. Okay, hold on. This is great. So the one part that I want to, just give context for our listeners is, you went into this. I love how you're stacking a lot of different models, and I love that you said I need to be an investor first to understand what's possible. And I think that's what, even your background as a wholesaler, you're coming in with a solution oriented mindset of you're facing a problem. How can I fix the problem? And that's originally Experiment Nation knows. That's why I got my license. I was like, okay, let me just get my license. I have another weapon on the tool belt when I'm doing this, right? You're using it on a whole nother level. I want to make sure this does not slip through the cracks, because you said, and just a level set real quick, when TJ saying rental arbitrage, that's when you're basically getting a corporate lease, and then your difference of what you're able to make after you pay your corporate lease is what you take home. And you don't, and from what I understand, TJ, if you want to give insight or maybe want to correct me, is the idea with doing both is that there's not a lot of as much upfront money as a down payment. Is that the idea for the opportunity cost to kind of speed up your process as you're growing your portfolio? Is that how you look at it?
Yeah. So when it comes to arbitrage, yes, one of the reasons why the barrier to entry is lower is because you don't have to shell out as much cash to purchase the property first and then furnish it, right? So most properties, when you buy it, you got to put down 20%. A lot of times, if you want to if you do a house hack or you do an FHA loan, then you got to put down 3%. But if it's an investment property, 20%. Sometimes they'll be able to get away 15%, maybe 10%, depending on the lender. So if you have to put down a down payment and also then furnish it, then if your goal to scale, you're probably going to take a lot longer to reach that scalability goal that you want for yourself. So, but if you are going in arbitrage as well, then you'll be able to scale that a lot quicker. Now, it's interesting though, because if you really take what, say you want to put down a 20% down payment on the property, say it's $50,000. And you take that same $50,000 and set up arbitrage units instead, set up 5-6 arbitrage units, that cash flow will be significantly more than if you was to buy that property, put down the $50,000 on that single family house and make that property a short-term rental instead. So there are two ways that I recommend ownership. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a big advocate of just putting 20% down on a property and making it a short-term rental. Now, if that's a goal that you want to do, then yes, do that. But if it's, should I use that 50,000 to do that, or should I set up arbitrage with it? I would recommend you to set up arbitrage with it. Create that down payment number every single month on a monthly basis. Now you're netting $20,000 a month or whatever that amount is. I would rather you do that and then take those proceeds to go buy that house.
Ooh,
now
okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So
either that.
It's funny because either that or
it's either that. That's option one in terms of getting to the ownership. If it's ownership, I'd rather you take that down payment, set up arbitrage units first, then create that down payment every single month, and then use that money to buy your property. Or either that or buy it the way I like to buy, using other people's money. But you have to buy them to stretch. You have to be willing to do the remodel. Now, what I do is while I'm doing the remodel, then I'm still setting up arbitrage units. That's how I've been able to scale.
Yeah, and the key thing first of all, I love that you said that, because the next question I was going to ask is, what would the old TJ do? But again, I want to be very clear that it's based on what your end goal is. And
Absolutely.
If your end goal is to scale, what you're talking about is opportunity cost, where that money can work faster and be leveraged faster to then get to the goal of becoming an investor. I don't think you're saying, and I know you're not, I shouldn't say I don't think, I know you're not saying to just do rental arbitrage, use it as a vehicle to get to your ownership faster.
100%.
So
ownership should always be the goal. You should
absolutely
always shoot to own your short-term rentals. Absolutely.
Which is crazy, because I think you're stacking a weapon, because Airbnb, I see Airbnb as, and my first investment was was 5% down, and then we did Airbnb, so I guess that helps. But you know, it's Airbnb in itself is a way to already maximize what you're getting under one roof, as opposed to the LTR, long-term rentals. But you're doing, even on top of that, you're adding another strategy to really maximize how quickly you can scale. So I love that you really, I don't think we've had anybody kind of describe it that way, because we talk about a lot of these models in silos, but we don't talk about the comparison between them. So I love that you did that. Another thing that I want to make sure does not slip through the cracks, and I'm thinking about this as you're saying it, you love to do like the burst strategy, which you talked about. You're leveraging other people's money, you're buying it a distress, but then you said something key, and I want to make sure this is what you meant. You said when you refinance, right, when the project is in its after repair value, right?
Yep.
You're using that to refinance and buy your furniture? DJ, quit playing with me, man. Is that the sauce?
I think you're gonna let that slip, huh? So, but here's what's crazy. Here's a beautiful, like, you could literally, now here's what's crazy about it. You 100% can do that. Yes, you can. And I've bought deals, literally duplexes. Like, I have duplexes where I came into the deal, no money out of my pocket. I mean, even at closing, I didn't come out of pocket on the closing. Now, a lot of times, though, there are not a lot of loans that are hard money lenders that will still do that. They may want you to still pay at least the origination points or at least the closing costs, even if the deal is sweet enough to where you don't have to come to closing. But when you use private money, you create a relationship. Like, I've used this private lender for so long, he's not tripping on nothing. So he's like, all right, if the numbers make sense to where you don't have to come out of pocket nothing, then you don't come out of pocket nothing. So that's another reason why relationships are important. But nonetheless, you can literally, I have purchased duplexes, no money in my pocket, on the front end of the loan, rehab the property. Now that the property's at the repair value, refinanced it, the deal was sweet enough, I'm keeping 30% equity in the deal, but I'm still pulling out some cash out because the deal makes enough sense on the front end. This is why I don't care what strategy you do. People need to understand this. Whether you Airbnb, whether you do long-term buy and hold, whether you wholesale, whether you do sub-2, owner, whatever exit strategy you do, you make your money when you buy. The numbers have to make sense on the front end of the purchase, not on the back end. You need to make sure that you check your DSCR. Make sure that your refinance lender, you're going to meet your DSCR, your debt service coverage ratio. Make sure that the property is going to cash flow enough for your refinance lender. You need to make sure you do that, those numbers, crunch those numbers on the front end of the loan. You should know what kind of equity you're going to get on the back end of the loan. You should know if you're going to cash out or do a refi at 80%, 70%. Like, these are things you need to know on the front end. That's why I'm able to do it that's why I'm able to exit the way I do, because I negotiated the loan on the front end to match my exit strategy, right? So that's that's very important. So yes, you can. And once you do that, you can do a cash out refinance, pull that cash out. You could use that cash, purchase another property, do it all over again, or furnish the property, make it a short-term, make that property short-term rental, and furnish that one.
All money in, no money out. I love
all
it,
money
man.
In, no money.
You already know. Listen, yo, TJ, hold on. So, just to give some tactical advice to our listeners here, because you're dropping some knowledge, but what I like, you're doing it professor style, where you're giving us the blueprint, and we're gonna have to do some more research. So when you talk about that, should it be, you said you buy, you make money when you buy. It sounds like you're also making money with the strategic partnership that you have with your lender. Am I shopping around for a lender to understand what I'm going to do? Is there something that I need to say? Is it a little bit of both? Is it a dance with the deal and the lender, or should I focus on deal first and every lender is going to make sense out of that? I want to make sure we understand.
Good. So there's two answers to that question. There's almost two questions in there. Well, for the last part of the question, should you focus on deal first or lender first? You know, one of the things I love about real estate is that you can be a novice in this game. You can be green in the ears and come in and make waves in this business like quickly. because when it comes to real estate, the money's in the deal itself. So it doesn't matter if you're new or experienced. If you get a deal that makes sense, the money will come. Like there's literally funds begging to fund real estate deals right now. So if that's why I like to let people know, when it comes to, should I focus on the money first or the deal first? To me, it's a no-brainer. Focus on the deal first. The money's waiting already. Like you would have no problem moving that deal, whether you want to wholesale it, whether you want to find a lender to make it a long-term buy and hold. You would have no problem finding the funding or the buyer if it's a good deal. That's why it's important on the acquisition side to understand the numbers on the front end of the loan. That way your exit will be a whole lot sweeter. Now, it's important though that when you are doing these deals and when we're talking to these lenders, to the other question that you asked about how we are, what are we telling the lenders, like how are we going about this loan and whatnot. We run these numbers. When I buy assets, when I buy real estate, even though my exit, I know I'm going to make that property a short-term rental property. That property is going to be a short-term rental. That is my exit strategy. But I run the numbers as if they're traditional rentals. Yes. That's what I tell my bank. That's what I tell all my lenders. I say, hey, it's going to be a traditional rental because guess what? It is in a way. Because guess what? Even though the property is a short-term rental, it is being leased, even though it's my asset, it's being leased by my short-term rental company. So it is a traditional rental, right?
Here you go, man. You double dipping again. Dang.
Listen, when you structure, you got to know how to structure. Yeah.
You know what I love about this? I was listening to I think Grant was saying this, love him or hate him, the guy's is a scalable, he's doing some wonderful things. And he was talking about, I look how the big companies, I don't follow individuals. I look at how the big corporations like KKRs, the Blackstone, right? And what you just told me reminds me of the concept of a holding company, right? Like it's just a revolving kind of system where you're leasing it. You said you're leasing it to yourself. And oh man, I love that, right?
That's what it is. And that's what it is, right? Because even though the property we know is going to be an Airbnb, we run it and we buy it as if it's a traditional rental.
Facts.
So guess what? If I tell people, if you're looking to purchase a short-term rental property, if you're looking to buy a property that's going to be a short-term rental, if that property, if you put a traditional tenant in it, and that property won't cash flow with a traditional tenant, then you didn't buy it right. You didn't buy it right? You didn't buy it right.
Yeah. So, what are you looking at? 1% rule? What are we talking about?
1% rule. 1% rule.
Yeah.
That's it. 1% rule. We buy it with the 1% rule. That's it.
Man. All right. So let's talk about arbitrage real quick, because I think it's a concept that not everybody's familiar with. We know in the space that there's AirDNA, which there's Mashriser, there's a lot of different resources. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're looking at these opportunities before you even pick up the phone call, before you even make it to them? Like, what are you looking for? Are you doing your research on, I should say, maybe the front end before you get to the meeting, or what does that look like for you for the sourcing of these arbitrage opportunities?
For me, I'm a little bit spoiled here in Houston because all my assets are in Houston right now. Trust me, we're gonna be diversifying to other markets very soon. But we're all in the Ace right now, but regardless of where you are, you have to do the research on the front end even before you make that phone call. You have to confirm from a numbers perspective. You have to get a good idea of what kind of demand to expect from a numbers perspective, and also from an income perspective. And so. Yes, AirDNA, we look at AirDNA. And of course, we know that AirDNA isn't perfect data. Matter of fact, there's some metrics that they have a hard time tracking. So, but we love AirDNA still because their numbers are always pretty conservative for us. Like, if you like the numbers on AirDNA, like if you're okay with that, with what AirDNA says for that particular marketplace, that area, or that property, then you should definitely run a play, because the most likely probably going to 2x that number. So that's what we usually do. We tend to at least 2x what AirDNA numbers do. But yes, we do that research. We also look at, if we're in metropolitan areas, we also look at, we do our own self-research, right? We go on to AirBNB, we go on these OTAs, VRBO, we go on there as travelers, Then we look at comparable listings. So we do our own self-research to look at comparable listings to see what they're charging, or their price is stagnant, or they're fluctuating the way they're supposed to, how occupied they are over the next 6 months, over the next 30 days, over the next 90 days. We look at all those things. Do they even have professional photography on their listing? Like, we look at all these things and we kind of make that comparison, and we cross-reference those numbers with AirBNB's numbers to give us a better idea of what to expect in terms of demand and in terms of income in that particular marketplace. Another thing to look at, if you are in a major metropolitan area, like in a city, where it's not as seasonal as like a beachy area. It's more consistent with the seasonality. Still seasonal, but just not as seasonal as like beachy areas and things like that. Look at the hotels, because a lot of times people got to understand. There's a Burger King and McDonald's method, right, that you can apply. You got to think about what Burger King was doing.
Starbucks.
Exactly. McDonald's was actually trying to sue Burger King at a point in time, because Burger King was saying, "Okay, you pumping all this money."
Oh, I'm over here too. Yeah,
you over there? We're just gonna pull up. We're gonna pull up a mile away from you. Okay, you already confirmed that it's a good location. You already did that for us.
They have the data.
They have the data. So they said, you know what? And they couldn't win that lawsuit because they did nothing wrong. But who can we do that to? When you think about it, where's hotels, right? So if you think about it, say, is this a good location? Where is there a hotel within a few miles from? Because understand, the hotels aren't just there by happenstance. They put in money and put in market research to confirm that there is a demand for short-term stays in that particular area. So keep that in mind as you're considering location and where to actually invest in.
Man, you're good at this like foreshadowing thing. I feel like you know what question I'm gonna ask next, because I was gonna say, in a lab, tactically, if I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, bet. I know we're in this game to roll up our sleeves and get the work done. And part of having a platform like this is to, how can we help people either shorten that time or expedite the process, but they're going to need to go through the process. I was going to say, what would be a tactical approach? Do I zoom out? And I think you kind of hinted it already. If I zoom out and look on Google, I can start having a map of where the hotels are, but I wanted to hear it from you, because now I just got the insight. Am I, as a student of the game right now, am I hearing you correctly? Like, what would be the next tactical thing that I could do in addition to with the data that's out there that you see is helpful for you in my own market?
Yeah. So kind of like you said, right? Now, should you just say, "All right, we're out of hotels, I want to be over there"? No, not necessarily. It just should be a part of your research. That should just be part of your market research. I still look at numbers. I still look at data on AirBNB, right? And understand, Airbnb could be done anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a major metropolitan city. There are people renting out tents, literally just tents in the forest for $40 a night and making money and keeping it full. Like, it's all kind of stuff. Sometimes, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, let me ask you about, like, what's your stake on, because you're in the metro. You're kind of like me. I'm in Metro Atlanta, right? I haven't explored Blue Ridge yet. Shout out to Avery Carl. She's in that area. The mountains. What's your stake on STRs versus vacation rentals? It sounds like are you doing vacation? It sounds like you're more centralized STRs. Those are different.
I'm definitely different, and that's a really good question. And that's a good question, because a lot of folks don't really realize that there are differences in that. Of course, the obvious similarities, but there are definitely differences.
Different product,
different seasons. The seasonality is a whole lot different, right? You're going to serve a different type of people, right? So I'm not tapped into the vacation spots per se. I am more so metropolitan, but we are getting tapped into the vacation spot. And it's not necessarily, the areas that we're targeting right now. I'll keep it on the hush hush for now. We can talk off market, off books, but yes, we're definitely looking at more beachy areas, vacation spots for sure.
Yeah, and I love, it's a good segue with my next point, because I was gonna say you've done such a good job, and I'm so proud of you, brother. Like, I'm seeing your growth, and you're getting to absolutely respect where it's done, where it's deserved. You're getting to the multifamily play, which we know. So I'm curious about that, because we talked a little bit about. I'm very curious about how you talk about partnerships a lot, and how it's about the people. And this is why. And I don't know if I gave you your due diligence to you have the STR roadmap, is your community, right?
Yeah.
Your students and all that. So shout out to that. If you guys need the plug, follow the man. Listen, the mathematician, practitioner. I mean, he is doing this. The STR roadmap. You're bringing people together. How do you, when you look at getting into things like a boutique hotel, multifamily, you talk about using other people's money for the single family stuff outside. As you're scaling, what does that look like from a partnership perspective, you pull in one of your somebody who's in the space, who has money, who's actually doesn't understand the business. You pull in someone who understands the business, who wants to co-partner with you. What does that partnership look like? Because I know you're very big on that. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So for one, partnerships should be partnerships that complement each other well, right? But depending on how you want to run your business, there has to be an organizational structure that is conducive and okay with both parties, right? So for me, this is my business, right? This is my bread and butter. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm known for. My partners, and they know they are the money. They are the money, right? They don't, for me, they let me do what I'm good at.
That's great.
They let me do what I'm good at, and in return, they get to invest with me and sit back and enjoy the cash flow.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because I think it's important for us to realize sometimes you pick partners that have the same energy, or you can have the same energy, but the same skills or the same strengths or weaknesses. Right now, they're your money partners, and you're the subject matter expert in the space.
Yes.
And I was gonna ask you too, like, is it strategic? Because we didn't get into the back end, and I could be here for days, but I know we got stuff to do and deals to close and movements to make. But is it strategic for you, TJ, to be in Houston from a back end operations, like cleaning team, all that? Was that strategic? Because I know I talk with Mike all the time. Shout out to Mike Sugar, man. That's our guy. He started out, and I don't know how he feels about this. I think he may have told me on or offline about, maybe he's in a lot of different states, and maybe he would have done it differently. I don't know. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I'm curious, like, is it strategic for you to just be in Houston, or do you think it just happened? I'm just curious.
I think it's a little bit of both, actually.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit of both. When I got into the space, I realized quickly how great of an opportunity Houston is to do it. And I decided to just plant my roots into the city. I'm a big fan, though, and that's why I say both, because I'm also a big fan of starting in your backyard if you can. But some marketplaces, it may not be conducive to starting your backyard. You may want to start another market in the beginning, and that's okay. Can you still do well and be profitable if you start this business in a market that's not even where you live at? 100,000%. Yes, absolutely yes. But am I a fan of starting close to home if you can? Yes, I'm also a fan of starting close to home if you can. So for me, it's a little bit of both. But I realized quickly that Houston's a huge market, a great opportunity to do this business for sure.
That's awesome, man. Listen, we got into the weeds of things. What's the plan, bro? Because I had somebody talk to me and planted a seed, and they're like, Ruben, man, you should think about with all these relationships that you got and what you're doing, because we own, and we're doing some co-hosting, we're doing friends and family. They're like, you should think about like a STR fund or like a fund with STRs in it, increase the cash flow, and maybe have some balanced long-term portfolio. Like,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
So I'm thinking, I know TJ is many steps ahead. The brother has the vision.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, you quit playing. That's why I have you here. If you weren't, I wouldn't have you here. You just, you listen. You're steps ahead. I'm just curious. What is the vision? Where are you taking this thing, man? Because you're getting to multifamily now. We know multifamily has a lot of benefits. You talk about cost segregation. We talk about limited partners, maybe. I don't know. What are you trying to do? Are you just trying to do some small partnerships? Are you trying to do like a fund? Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll say we heard it here first. I don't know. I'm just bringing out.
Hey, listen.
What you trying to do, man?
That's crazy, because the STR fund, the fund is literally coming. So the fund is on the way.
Playing.
And we're not even playing with it, because the goal is to buy more of these multifamily assets, and also, depending on the marketplace, depending on the deal, depending on the location, develop our own hotels, right? Because my goal is to have, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie, my hotel brand, because I'm creating my own boutique hotel brand, right? Tijani Suites is my own boutique hotel brand. So
one more time.
So we have our Tijani Suites, right? So.
Gotta get this guy on my team, man. This branding thing, you're taking a whole nother.
So we're growing that, right? And the goal is to use it to build more relationship, create more partnership, grow our fund to where we're buying these multifamily assets or developing our own, 25, 50 door suites. But every single, what we're doing is, these are not going to be like traditional hotels, right? These are going to be hotel style, but suites. So it's a multi-family property, but ran as a hotel. Full suites, full kitchen, full everything. So, and that's the vision on that. But we're also creating funds to purchase hotels. like, so we're
y'all taking notes. I love it.
Like, you know,
Run
like
the play.
hotels. Yeah. So we're gonna have the goal is to have a boutique hotel brand, plus also have assets that are actually like hotels or Crown Plaza, Holiday Inn, whatever the case. We're looking at a few.
I love it, bro.
So we're hitting them with both fronts, but the fund is going to be very conducive to that, and we're also looking to still add some long-term plays, because we may purchase units that are 100 doors or whatnot. But we're not going to make all 100 doors short-term rental. We might make it just a certain segment. We might allocate, a certain percentage
hybrid
for my hybrid situation, but still have traditional long-term rentals. So a lot of things in the works regarding that.
Yeah.
When you talk about that's what we're looking at.
First of all, I love that. And the reason why I love that is we also look at like syndication is hot right now and everything. But you talk about like having a USP, which I love. I'm a business guy first, then a real estate investor, unique selling point. What gets me in? Why should I do business with you as an operator? Well, I understand that you know the game of maximizing one unit already, so that you're introducing a hybrid model. That's the value add play right there. Like, oh, you're gonna do a little bit of a hybrid in here, and you're gonna do value add because you've done it. I mean, how better do we bring this full circle, man? Like, I'm gonna hit you with these rapid fire questions just because out of just curiosity, man. They're gonna be real quick. Just listen, man. Favorite application that you like to use on a day-to-day that gets you through your day? Could be an application, could be a journal, anything. Just curious. Hear it for TJ.
Oh man, something that helps me out on day-to-day. Oh man, I just rearrange my office. What I do, there's a planner that I literally just rearrange my office. There's a planner that I have that literally sits here, and at the end of the night, like I write down like what needs to be done the next day, right? So
I want to do
because at the no, it's not one of those.
Okay, cool. No, because I used the I'm trying to get close to the man. Trying to see. No, I use the Atomic Habits tracker, and I was wondering. I know a few people use different things. Okay, cool, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. That's that. What's the best habit that serves you think, TJ, on a day-to-day basis?
Waking up early and going to the gym. I have to work out in the morning.
Yeah. What's a book right now besides Rich Dad Poor Dad that you're recommending the most right now? You feel?
So there's one that I'm reading right now that I think is dope. It's called Mind Management, Not Time Management. It's a great read. It's a great read because it kind of breaks down because a lot of us are so focused on time, not more so focused on being at the right mental space to be the most effective within the time that we have. So it's a great read. That one, definitely check that read out.
Man, listen, this has been there's too many. I'm gonna listen to this like 3 times, man. I hope you guys are taking notes because TJ, I know. Listen, man, I know you're doing so much, and I know extremely how valuable time is. And for you to take the time to come, give the game to the people, it's just so powerful. And I wanted them to hear it from you because you're a guy that I admire. And that's it's really an honor for you to be here. I want to give you the plug that you deserve because I know you're doing a lot of stuff, man. So I'm gonna let the people find out first, on Instagram. I know you're Tijani, right? Tijani, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
You have your community that I want to make sure that people can tap into that. And you're doing a lot of stuff. You're doing free masterclasses. You're doing pop-ups. I'm seeing what's new right now in Q1 of 2022. So you can kind of give them the plug and see how they can be more in touch with you as well.
Absolutely. Definitely tap on me on Instagram. That's most one of my social media I'm most active on. I'm definitely going to start back doing my rooms on Clubhouse, but I'll keep that posted. I'll keep y'all posted on that. Definitely tap on Instagram. And yes, our community is growing. Our community is growing. I do have a free masterclass. You click the link in my bio, you'll be able to tap into the free masterclass that's on there and get tapped into the community. Matter of fact, we got a coaching call tonight in the community, right? And another thing that's dope that I'm super excited about is my events. The first short-term rental roadmap summit is going down in Houston. Yes, the weekend of the week, June 10th and 11th, right? June 10th, 11th, and 12th is going to be that weekend. Put in your calendar, Rube. I need you in the city. You gotta come. You gotta pull up to the city.
I'm gonna keep it $150 with you, bro. I'm getting married the week before, so I'm gonna be on my honeymoon, bro. So I can't. I can't. Listen, Eddie, that's the only thing that will get in the way of me not following through with TJ. For the rest of y'all who is not getting married, Quit playing games. Put it in your calendar. I just wanted to let you know because when you said the June, I was like, ooh. So it's crazy, but yeah, we gonna make sure that.
On that. Congrats on that though, bro. That's a blessing, brother. Congrats on that. That's a blessing. Yeah. So tap in. I got some dope speakers. I mean, I got crazy dope speakers coming. I got even like a lot of technology partners that we use to run our business. The Noise Aware Minute, Hostfully, like I mean, hospitality. Like these are companies that they're all coming to add value to the event, right?
Ooh, you're a bad man, TJ.
Understand. That's what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be crazy. So
yeah, it's gonna come correct.
So it's gonna come correct. So yeah, be on the lookout for that as well.
Man, TJ, well, thank you so much, brother. We'll include. Listen, I always say, if you're driving, keep your hands on the wheel, man. We'll include that in the show notes. And just like that, TJ came in, conquered, dropped value. Make sure you follow him everywhere and stay tuned into his community and definitely learn from the practitioner himself. And just like that, TJ, thank you so much for coming on the show. Just like that, we are out.